Welcome back to the ASUG News Studio. My name is Tom Whalegum, the site editor for asugnews.com. Well, we have a power panel in the ASUG News Studio right now, and we're going to be talking about the ASUG Executive Exchange and hearing from some members and as well as our CEO, Bridgette Chambers. I'll start here. Bridgette, welcome back to the studio. We had
Thanks,
you on
Tom.
yesterday, and it's a pleasure to have you back.
Thank you.
And next we have Russ Hiller, the VP and CFO from Summit Electric Supply.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, sir. We played golf the other day. It was much fun to be with you. Brian Hobdy, CFO from PABCO. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
And last but not least, Mike Odell on the CIO of Raley's. Mike, good to see you again.
Again.
So, Bridgette, I will start off with you. What was the genesis of the ASUG Executive Exchange? Why did you greenlight this program? What did you think it would deliver to our members?
Sure. Great to answer this question on this particular event because we're actually celebrating somewhat of an anniversary. The genesis for this started with the CIO Council that ASUG had started 10 years ago. In fact, Mike Odell here on the panel was an original member. Not that that helps to calculate your age, Mike, really. But Mike was an original member of the CIO Council. And the reason for coming together at an executive level 10 years ago is the same today. People need to make important decisions, and they need to have a place where they can focus on influence, networking, and education. But they need education, networking, and influence done in a slightly different manner, and they need different content. We endeavored 10 years ago to provide it, and what we found throughout those 10 years is that we were doing a really good job for CIOs, but the market's changed, right? So in order to help the CIO continue to make those decisions, we had to integrate this with other important individuals in the organization, like the Chief Talent Officer, the Chief Operation Officer, the CEO as well. So we adjusted the business model and we relaunched this group into the Executive Exchange. We're now a more diverse group of individuals, and executives are able to come here despite their role and area of responsibility, find the right information, find the right networking peer, and make better decisions as a result.
It's great. We've got two CFOs up here, which is
Exactly.
fantastic. Mike, so that's the history. Where are we today with the Executive Exchange?
Well, I think Bridgette touched on a lot of it. When it originally started off, it's a bunch of CIOs and CTOs talking about technology, listening to SAP, trying to influence SAP's roadmap. That was great, and for me it was a good start. Over years though, getting together with CFOs, CEOs, COOs, and having a conversation, the format's changed a lot. So no PowerPoint presentation. This
Right.
isn't standing in front of a presentation. This is about me having a conversation with Russ, having a conversation with Brian about how we're going to use technology and leverage our own businesses in our own areas and make some money with the technology.
Right. You were telling me on the golf course the other day about the conversations you have that have helped you in your business. How about we've got two CFOs here. Russ, I'll start with you. You know, what do you get going to the Executive Exchange? What have you found to be the benefits that you've received so far?
Well, to build on what Bridgette was saying just a minute ago, it's a terrific forum to meet other executives. And I have found as a CFO, while there are a number of resources out there to enhance your knowledge about how to improve your career, some of the best advice and guidance you're ever going to receive is just from fellow executives. And it's a terrific idea to bring them together, especially those who work with companies that utilize SAP. We face a lot of the similar challenges together, and it's so helpful to learn about some of the other solutions that they've come up with.
Right. Brian, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but has there been a specific conversation you have that you've had here that may have influenced your thinking, or something back in the office when you got back, something you've heard that, because that's what, those are stories that are really great and powerful that we can deliver.
Well, something that we've been looking at for a while is mobility, and to be able to talk to the other executives, not only how they have implemented it, but the challenges and the best practices and the learnings that they did as they were going through the project has really been helpful. I've been able to talk to a number of CFOs and executives that have already implemented it so that they can tell me kind of what the process was, but then also talking to individuals like Russ about what direction they want to go to, so that I can take kind of what they're all kind of thinking about and see what's best for my organization and kind of take those best practices and put it all together.
That must be music to your ears to hear, that level from CFOs.
Yeah, definitely.
Because we can be a little IT-centric here, we know that, but we're trying to change that. But to hear those sharing best practices? Is that where the future you think is going to go with this?
Well, yeah, it's not just the future from an ASUG perspective and from an executive exchange perspective, but these guys are the future in terms of market leadership, creating and sustaining competitive advantage. And they do that because the thought leaders in their companies have the ability to come together and understand how to get the right return on investment from an SAP installation, and they can think about how to innovate and create new solutions on top of that. So it's definitely what we were looking for.
Is the networking aspect, Russ, I'll turn to you, of that face-to-face? Sure, there's many virtual ways to communicate today, but can you put a price on actually the physical, being in the person, being next to someone like Brian, being in the same room and doing that, and you get value from that?
Well, I'm in the business of trying to quantify things all the time and calculate return on investment, and to try to put a price on just about everything I face every day. And to be honest with you, it's some of those intangible qualities of getting together with a group of people like this that the return is almost incalculable. It's invaluable. And for example, one of the things that we defined as one of our primary initiatives for the next year or two of executive exchange is, how do you drive a more profit-centric culture within your organization? Well, while we have lots of ideas within our own company on how to do that, nothing can replace getting together with other CFOs, CEOs, CIOs, and learning what they do to drive that kind of a profit-centric culture, and to take those ideas back to my own organization.
Right. Mike, Russ just gave us kind of a slice of what a meeting can be like. Can you give us, people who don't know, what happens in these meetings? You said no PowerPoints.
Well,
so
we
that's
have a couple kind of meetings. So
Okay.
there's the meetings around Sapphire, which are much more informal. We have two separate tracks, the CFO type, the CIO type, and a lot of that has to do with just the environment. Our primary meeting happens in the fall around the Business Objects Conference, and at that conference it's a very intense group, and those meetings tend to be long conversations. We'll start out with introductions. We typically focus on a couple topics. Analytics is a topic that's hot. Mobility is a topic that's hot. We'll get facilitators, and an example of one meeting, we had a facilitator. We broke into groups. We had different topics. We spent a day and a half slicing and dicing those topics, learning from each other, quite frankly, stealing ideas from each other. I mean, you get 90 smart guys in a room, and you have an open mind. It's amazing what you can come away with.
The free consulting comes in a little bit?
I don't know if it's free consulting. It's free. I don't know that it's free. What it is in a discussion with Brian or a discussion with Russ or a discussion with Bridgette, we can start talking about ideas, and that open exchange, that conversation, makes both what they're doing better and what I'm trying to do better.
Right.
It's the whole concept of community, right?
Right, absolutely.
Exactly.
Brian,
And
you
I'll
wanna add
echo
something?
that these meetings, especially in the summits, are intensive. I mean, my first one was about a year and a half ago that I went to, and after 2 days, I was just exhausted. My expectations, Mike actually recruited me to the group, and he just says, hey, we're going to talk about mobility and analytics. Come on over. Okay, I was thinking that I was just going to be instructed about it. And when we started, I was, uh-oh, this might hurt. But there was so much free-flowing information and so much interaction, you could not be passive. You had to be an active participant in this group, and that's where you get the value.
Right.
Is the more you participate, the more you get out of it, and it was just very intense. I've never had anything like that in any conferences I've been to in terms of accounting or technology, and it was just invaluable.
Did you find it as demanding, Russ?
I think it was equally demanding for me. It was a mind-broadening experience. It's really good when you don't have to sit there and deal with, as we say, death by PowerPoint.
Right.
And you really challenge everybody to get in front of the whiteboard to sketch out what they're talking about, and then just some of the side conversations that you have as well. For example, speaking with another CFO about how they handle mergers and acquisitions, and how they tackle some of the issues that they encounter. Those are the kinds of things that are not necessarily going to show up in any finance textbook or formal instructional class.
You know, yesterday I heard I heard Bill say in a keynote that social is the new dial tone. And that really resonated with me. And when you think about how the executive exchange has evolved and the benefit that our participants are getting out of it, a big part of it is because of how social it is.
Right.
And by the way, an important part of this is it's not just happening in meetings. We're creating and we're regularly innovating around a portal so that this is a 365-day-a-year community sharing content, continuing discussion and dialogue, being able to connect from anywhere with ease, so that when Russ has an issue and needs information, this is one of those important resources that he can turn to.
Right.
So it's definitely growing.
Is it, sharing? I mean, you had said, Brian, that Mike recruited you. Is the sharing go beyond the events? Are there emails? Are there phone calls that can happen?
Absolutely. We have a network now that I can, if I have a question, I can go and call on them. I can send them emails. We're on LinkedIn as well.
Right.
So there's just many avenues that we can connect together and share ideas.
Right. It seems like all of you are talking about, raising your SAP IQ in a sense, but I was talking to Mike the other day, and it can go beyond just SAP. Have any of you had that, where you've been talking about SAP that leads to other conversations that, of course, no one runs all just SAP.
Yep.
So I'm wondering, Brian, did that experience happen?
Absolutely. The first event I went to, I was talking to one of the board members and just saying how frustrating it was to put together board packages and having to mail them out to our outside board members. And she's like, oh, well, we just do that mobily. And they push it out to the cloud, and then it's available on their iPad. And so just talking through that with them, we're now working on implementing that at our location and saving money and time and being able to do that. Definitely technology related, but definitely not within SAP.
Right. Great story. Mike, so as we look to the future, and then I'll wrap it up with Bridgette, where are we going to head next? Where's the ASUG Executive Exchange going next?
Well, I think we need to build on what we have. We need to continue to diversify the group. We need to continue to leverage the knowledge sharing, both for the people that are at our meetings, our summits, but people who can't attend. So you can get 250 people that are interested in being a part of it, and people with C's in their titles are hard to get to go to meetings. I mean, it's just not easy. So we need to develop something, one, so they can participate in the meeting, maybe not participate live, but can get something out of our meeting, but also between meetings, kind of keeping the momentum alive. We build up a lot of momentum, it kind of slows down a little bit because we all go off and do our own thing. If we can kind of keep the momentum going, and I know Bridgette's working on it, I think we can get, we can go a long ways. We can continue to build on it.
Bridgette, we have an amazing foundation here as you look to the future.
Oh, we
Probably
absolutely
can't be more
do.
excited about this.
No, absolutely. I mean, this group is really kind of the secret sauce to getting stuff right because, unlike, I heard this said just a couple of moments ago, there are a lot of other opportunities for executives to get out there and to network. And if it's diverse, if it's focused, that's one thing. But what's unique about the ASUG Executive Exchange is that it's both diverse and there's an opportunity for the executive to bring their staff to participate in other related topics in a way that aligns them from a tactical position with what they're doing, while the executive is involved in some strategic thinking, some design thinking, so that when mixed back together, their organization is a powerful force in the marketplace. And that is a differentiator for us. That's not something that you find somewhere else. So as we think about the future, we're not only thinking about how to innovate, make the meetings more accessible, make them more social, we're thinking about how to create the connections between what we're thinking about and how to, in real time, make that an advantage for our customers that are participating. That's where SAP is going, that's where I know the customers want to go, and this is going to be one of those opportunities for them to figure out how to create all of that in one package.
Great. Well, thank you all very much for your time. It was a pleasure to speak with you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks.
Check out asugnews.com for more live interviews from ASUG Annual Conference and Sapphire Now. And thank you very much for watching.